So joining us now from Jerusalem is CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tyab. Imtiaz, let's start with what's expected to happen today. What's the latest you're hearing on today's hostage release?
Anne-Marie, good to be with you. There's concern, some very serious concern. It would appear that both Israel and Hamas are not happy with the names on this, the fourth list. As we know that over the past several days, with these releases of hostages and this release of Palestinian prisoners, that there have been agreed names on each of those lists. But it would appear at this moment there is concern on both sides about those names. In fact, the Israeli government has just put out a statement urging calm in Israel, given just how sensitive this situation is. Still, there is an awful lot of diplomacy going on behind the scene, not just between Israel and Hamas indirectly, but of course being facilitated by Egypt, by Qatar, and of course the U.S. Even though there's some concerns about the list this evening, there is also hope that we could see even more releases in the coming days. Both Israel and Hamas have indicated that they would like to see this continue. But again, there's still some concern about the lists that are supposed to be issued today and those releases that are supposed to be seen today. So a situation that remains very in flux. Anne-Marie.
Imtiaz, Admiral John Kirby was on CBS Mornings earlier, and this is what he had to say about the Americans still being held hostage.
We don't have a whole lot of information about them, where they are, what condition they might be in, or what exactly the schedule would be for their release. That said, as you heard the president say over the weekend, we're going to keep working at this hour by hour. And we certainly have every hope that when these 4 days are over with and the original agreement is done, that Hamas will be able to come up with more hostages in coming days to allow that pause to continue and allow more people to get out.
Well, you know, almost what he said seems a little dated when I consider what we just talked about, that there are concerns about this plan to schedule exchange of hostages for prisoners. So I don't even know if there's a conversation about a possible extension to the pause in fighting.
I think there is. I think everybody is determined to keep this pause in place. And that is because of the situation in Gaza, at least when it comes to Hamas, the U.S., Qatar, and Egypt. And of course, for Israel, they want those hostages out. That is very important for them. Although, as we saw the other night, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on the ground inside Gaza, an unprecedented move by him, saying that Israel will continue to fight and will, in his words, win. Whatever the case, and of course, with all the tension that we're seeing here, we do need to think about the situation in Gaza. Anne-Marie, over the past few days, as Palestinians have finally had a respite from this war after nearly 50 days of non-stop bombing, which has triggered one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. The accounts that we've been hearing from the ground have just been horrific. We've been hearing accounts of children who have not been able to receive any kind of medical care, that their woundeds have become so infected that doctors are finding worms inside of those wounds. We are hearing stories of adults with multiple injuries who have been carried by their loved ones, desperate to find them care. And then, of course, there are those who have just not had any food or water for days. Remember, Israel cut off all water, all food, all electricity just days after it began its assault on Gaza. The humanitarian situation there is dire, but very quickly for the people in the north of Gaza who are able to go back to their homes to see what's left of their lives, many have found next to nothing. Their homes just reduced to ruins. I was in Gaza better part of nearly 2 weeks ago, and I can tell you the situation on the ground in northern Gaza was devastating, and that is something that the people in Gaza are seeing firsthand for the first time. Anne-Marie.
All right, Imtiaz, thank you very much.